Sorry, I should correct that, shouldn't I? Me and tangents, like we're like twins. I live with tangents. And when every time I start going off subject, just reach out and slap me. You know, I want to tell the Chinese people something. Listen, I have a friend in China. He has been for the last 16 years one of the most honest, caring, loving. He knew when I was down. He always sent encouragement. I mean, really, just you could tell that this guy has a big heart. He's a real, genuine person. And we're like yin and yang. You know what I mean? But he really he saw through my facade quite quickly. And then I encouraged him to be a father. I told him he would be a great dad. And the day he had twins, I was like, oh man, you have no idea what you're in for. It's such a beautiful thing. No, you're not going to get much sleep for a while. Look, I always buy American if I can. If it's made in America and I have one that's made in another country, I will buy the American product first. Yes, it normally costs a little more, but I can guarantee you that I have had fewer problems. No matter what the price, if I buy a pair of wire cutters in China for $9, and then I buy a pair of wire cutters in the United States for $9, the only difference is the Chinese one actually was $3, and it took $6 to get it here. I don't agree with that. I will buy American to stop that piece of producing carbon that doesn't need to be produced. Simple as that. If I can buy American, I would. So if you think you're going to threaten us by saying that you're going to put economic sanctions on us, what are you going to do economically to harm me as an American citizen? Nothing. You can yell and scream and holler at our government all you want. Trust me, our government and the people are not like your government and the people. I could care less what my government is doing with you. I expect them to do their job, do it professionally, do it well, keep everybody out of trouble, and just do your job well, okay? But when it comes to the American public, I will buy American if given the opportunity. And if you're going to threaten me and make me buy American out of spite, that doesn't help your cause much at all. Sorry. So for me, the Chinese people are just like any other people. They're like Americans or people from Mexico or Venezuela, South Africa, you know what I mean? New Zealand, it doesn't matter where you're from. You are people. I understand who and what you are. People are the same everywhere. We speak different languages and we have different culture. But trust me, I understand human nature to the point where it makes me ill some days. If the Chinese officials think that they're threatening us with economic anything, what, you're going to charge more for your DJI? Do you know what a typical American will do? He's going to say fuck you and buy the other unit because he'll understand that your DJI, yep, it might be the best drone, but this one will get the job done well. Good enough. See? Now what? We don't buy oil from you. We don't buy gas from you. I mean, your ghost cities that you have in China are going to be a weight around your neck for the next 50 years. I don't know what you're going to do with that. You see, as a communist government, you're never going to get the billions of Chinese to move into those cities and become advanced technologically, education-wise, all of those things. Those cities are going to remain empty as long as your government works with one guy at the top, okay, trying to tell everybody this is the way to do it, because it just doesn't seem to work out that way. Which is why I'm glad we have a two-party system. I wished we had a three-party system, actually. That's what I really want. But the founding fathers, in their wisdom, they really didn't prevent us from doing that. But at the same time, if you start getting 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like in India, you end up with 30% of the population telling everybody what to fucking do. So the fewer the better, but they got to get along, okay? They need to get off their fucking high horses and get along, do the jobs for the American public. So that this kind of shit right here, I just expect them to do their jobs. I don't care about what your opinion is, okay? When your constituents rise up and there's thousands of them carrying signs saying do this or do that, let's do this or that. Let's not have you as a representative go, well, fuck you, that's not my belief system. That's not doing your job. You shouldn't be there. You're fired. You're fired. So I will simply buy American. That's it. I don't see anything that they can do to us. It's not our fault that they spent, their time and their effort wrong. They opened up, but they didn't open up enough because they started seeing they were going to lose control. So they put a clamp back fucking down. They make sure the government, I have this app. You now have a personal score that we're going to regulate. Good person, bad person. I mean, the minute you fucking do that, I can tell you, human nature repels against that. It's just not in us, okay, to have that. So, yeah, if you want to try to economically punish us and you're going to charge me more for your Chinese wire cutters over the American wire cutters, okay? I can tell you that usually the American wire cutter, that's the same price as your wire cutter that I had to pay to have shipped from China to the United States in carbon and price, usually will cut exactly the same. No difference at all. The cost of materials is pretty much the same. And if I'm going to give an edge to anyone, it will be underneath the American tool. See? I would rather buy a cheap piece of Stanley tool than an expensive piece of Chinese tool. It's just always going to be that way. There are some things that I want to buy from you that I would be willing to pay a premium for. I wouldn't consider it a punishment. I would just consider it a fact of life. That's just the way it goes. But if there's an American alternative, I will go to them. See, even if the closest price or maybe just a tiny bit more than yours, I will still do that so that I don't have that carbon footprint on my cartridge. That's all part of trying to help. When I order something this big that comes from China, God. Yeah, I know it's being shipped with other things, but still, that's rationalizing. So, anyway, this whole chip thing with the Chinese, this is going to hurt them. I'm hoping everyone understands the strength that the Biden administration is showing with this. That you can't call another guy an axis of evil and have anything fucking change. They don't care. They know you're going to be there for 4 years and gone. They're going to be there for the next 35. They don't care. But when you make all of the other population in the country uncomfortable, that's when you have an effect. Because the real power still lies there. Commerce Department, sweeping regulations, limit the sale of semiconductors and chip making equipment. Wow. So that's pretty solid. I think it's a good idea. Let them develop their own systems. We'll develop our systems. That way we don't have to worry about any hidden technology. Do you remember Stuxnet? The Stuxnet? Okay, that was built into the chip from Siemens. Now everybody's like, oh, we don't know how that fucking happened. Okay? The chip that they sold them for their centrifuges came from Siemens, and the Stuxnet virus was part of the chip. It just had to be activated when they wanted to. Spun them all out of control. So yes, there is an absolute danger to not knowing. The sizes of these connections, the physical makeup, okay, that's done through photolithography and the different ways of removing layers chemically and with light, okay, so that you can get a separated piece up here with a base down here and they're not touching. That's like, billions of transistors on chips. So that technology is hard to do. It's not easy. And you can hide things in that chip physically that the software isn't telling you about. So yes, it is dangerous. Very dangerous. I think countries should develop their own until we learn to get along and trust one another a little better. Okay? It'll just get rid of a point of contention off the fucking table so that no one can bitch or complain about it. So, no, I'm not threatened by anything the Chinese can do. Only the arrogant and ignorant people of the U.S. can truly believe they can block development of China's semiconductor or other technology industries by these legitimate means. Oh, man. Now, if you hadn't said only arrogant and ignorant people, we could have been okay. Yeah, the most of us are arrogant and ignorant, okay, but you don't need to put it in print. You don't need to threaten the United States with that shit. Develop your own crap. It's not our fault you didn't do it. You spent your money on other things, okay? Hundreds of ghost cities where there's like street sweepers. It's like you could film like apocalypse movies in like 20 different cities, you know what I mean? So, if you only hadn't said that, because see, you're just propaganda. You're just the government's mouthpiece. I know Chinese people. They're fucking wonderful. They're kind and generous. Yes, it's a different culture. Okay, it's, you know, if you pull into an American off the highway rest stop and there's restrooms and all that, you can expect a certain level of cleanliness and sanitation. I can tell you that there are places in China that it is not that. And you don't want to know. You really don't. But they're just different people. It's different culture. Much older than the United States. It's kind of a weird what technology does to one culture versus another. Who's allowed to access, who isn't, etc. Who educates their population, who doesn't. I think it's a good idea, and I'm glad that the Biden administration did it, because it has to be done. We all have to be able to do that. This new deep ultraviolet technology with this short wavelength, you just get everything gets smaller. You know what I mean? I don't know what they'll be doing next time. Little single electron beams doing carving. I don't know. But I think it would be better if we all just kept our own hands in our own pockets, developed our own shit, and that way we don't have to worry about it. It's off the table. So don't don't think that just because we're arrogant and ignorant, okay, that we're not smart.